Hello and welcome, or welcome back to Read Becca. We are talking about one of my Booktube Prize reads. I will link all the details for Booktube Prize down below. I am judging the translated fiction this round again, and today we're talking The Anomaly by Hervé Le Tellier and translated from French by Adrienne Hunter. So I can't talk too much about this book. I'm going to try to start with non-spoilery stuff and go into spoilery, but I just don't have a ton to say about this book anyway. So in terms of non-spoilery stuff, I would say the premise hangs on you not knowing the big hook, really. So go in fairly blind if you plan to read this. The story starts with us jumping between characters. So we're getting the story of each individual character across many characters. So you're being set up with a massive cast. It really grows. And they're all different types of people. They're very diverse, I would say. They're from different places. And each of their stories ends with like a Secret Service agent showing up at their door, basically, and taking them away. And so that's very interesting. Many of these are couples, but not all of them. Some of them, there's a doctor and patient situation. So they're all interactions between multiple characters, I would say, that lead to this being carted off. So that's basically what I can tell you about the plot, because once they're carted off, we learn about, and I would say it's probably not a spoiler, it's the title, The Anomaly. So something anomalous happens, and so there's the reaction and having to deal with what this odd thing is. So for me, I feel like this is a case of a literary author writing something that they think is really revolutionary, and what really, it's them doing something that I've seen before a lot. It's well-trod ground in genre fiction. So this feels like a sci-fi book that I've seen done in parts over and over, and done very well in other places. So I think that's most of what I can say in a non-spoilery way. It's a fine book. I enjoyed reading it. The reading experience, I kept wanting to turn pages. It's written in a very compelling way where you're jumping between like interviews and different interactions between like scientists and stuff. Who are kind of trying to figure things out. And so it's very compellingly told, but it didn't feel like it was really anything fresh to me. So I think that's most of what I can say. The characters, I don't know how I can say it without spoiling. I think in reaction to everything that's happened, we get decent characterization. Every character does stand on its own, but we're seeing from outside for everything. So I feel like it was a miss that we don't get the interior response to this big thing that happens from any of the characters. We don't understand their emotional state or kind of the interior of what's going on. So yeah, I think that was a pretty huge miss on the part of writing this story. So let's jump into big spoilers. This is the big spoiler. All right, now that you're here for spoilers, the anomaly that happens is that this plane is going through turbulence and makes it through and lands. And it turns out this plane took off in March and had landed in March. But the plane that we're seeing is landing, the same plane, the same passengers, the same pilot, in June. And now there are 2 copies of everybody from this plane. So they call in, the military, these scientists. I think the scientists were probably the big positive point, because they got nerds to basically nerd out, and that was great. They kind of played goofy in certain ways. They call it Protocol 42 and reference like Douglas Adams, obviously. So they go a little over the top. So it did feel very much like typical genre fiction and really played into that. So for me, this was very much not anything special. It seemed like a dime a dozen sci-fi novel. I think that the main reactions to what happens are it dealing with the philosophical questions of that have been grappled with in sci-fi novels over and over again of, is the universe a simulation? Is the universe, multiverses, that sort of thing, like them dealing with what the religious implications of that are, at a very, very surface level. So this is not long enough to go into any real depth about that. So it seems like it wanted to be really smart about those things, but I've seen them done better. Then as it moved on, we get into like the social media implications, that sort of thing. But again, it's very, very skimmed, very surface level. I feel like I have seen that done so much better in more modern sci-fi. And even like years ago, I think An Absolutely Remarkable Thing did that sort of sci-fi story of something big happens and social media, how does it have an effect on that? And that book did that way, way better than this, I think. So I've just seen these concepts done really well places before. In this story, they are getting these people like therapy and stuff because of what they're going through, obviously, but they almost immediately have them meet each other, like the March and June versions of these people very quickly are meeting each other, and there's no like massive breakdowns or anything like that between these people. It seems like they very much accept it. But again, as I said in the non-spoilery part, we don't actually get the interior from those people. So they could be going through something incredible interiorly and we just don't know it. And yeah, I feel like that was kind of the biggest problem of this for me, is that we're so outside, we don't really see them connect with each other either. So there's one point where two of them are being interviewed, and that's where it kind of gets into the social media bit. And like, you didn't feel any like attachment between them, like camaraderie. Yeah, so we don't really see that. We see a very distanced view of what's happening. So I think this could have been more effective. As I said, again, in the non-spoilery part, it's a fine book. It was enjoyable to read, but it didn't blow me away. So that's what I have to say about The Anomaly. Let me know if you've read this one and if you disagree with my thoughts on it. Thanks so much for watching.